Hello, I'm Yi Yuan. Today's class is Breaking One's Thought. Breaking thought can be said to be at the heart of Buddhism. Breaking thought is not aimed at a state of being thoughtless. It is what can change your thoughts. To break your thoughts like this, you first need to know it is about the principle of the middle. The middle is about being unbiased. If you keep up your greed and think about it, you may not be biased. What I think from my point of view is a mostly biased view. There are both positive and negative aspects to everything. However, if you focus on yourself, it is easy for people to think because they are biased toward negative views. If you say you are not on a good relationship with someone, will have negative thoughts about him. But that's not all about him. To be moderate is not to be positive about the person. If you have a negative view, you are supposed to reject or turn a blind eye to the person. Then your mind pollutes your mind and at the same time, you can't really know the person. I just hate it, and it's really hard to know why the person is so bad. So what I do to make my negative thoughts disappear is the process of accepting. Rejecting someone who has already been experienced in my mind does nothing to improve the situation. Rather, if you acknowledge the situation and the person, you will be able to see that the person is really wrong and will have the wisdom to deal with the relationship. I have negative thoughts, so I try to accept them as they are. If you turn a blind eye or deny the other person, your mind will keep rolling. It changes. But if you accept it as it is, you will learn the truth from it. Accepting such a hateful person or a hateful situation is also a breaking of thoughts. The idea of knowing the truth is that the perspective from my point of view is not true. So if I break my thoughts, I can communicate fully with the other person. And because this is a completely different method from compromise, the mental power becomes very strong. Due to realistic relationships, there are cases where I have to compromise or adopt a pretentious attitude. If I ignore or reject an object, however, if I admit the object I dislike as it is, there is no reason to take this attitude. Our misfortune almost begins with the wrong relationship. It would be nice to have a relationship with someone who fits well from the beginning, but we have had many wrong relationships since our previous lives. Living with a person who doesn't like it is really the worst. Can we be happy and grateful if we have to live with someone who destroys everything? Buddhism aims to study the mind like this. Paradoxically, when you have this mind, you will no longer live with such a relationship. A person who does not even know his or her own mind does not know how others feel. You must be aware of the dangers of making connections without knowing the other person's appearance or qualifications. At the same time, it will be more useful to fill your heart well and to be sincere in your relationship with others than to be wary of people to make good relationships from the beginning. Even the Taoists often do not know how to recognize people at first sight. Therefore, the relationship between myself and others and me must be different. The relationship with myself should be really honest. The worst thing is to deceive yourself. However, for others, being true is more important than being honest. Being true refers to having feelings and attitudes that are faithful to the relationship. Being honest with others also has many disadvantages. So I don't want to recommend it. Just because you are being honest with yourself doesn't mean you should follow your ego's whispers hard. Even if you've done something really wrong or feel like that, you are supposed to accept yourself for who you are, not to follow it and fill it in. It's not honest to ignore what you want and impose excessive obligations on yourself and drive yourself into it. It's acknowledging both who you are and the situation. We don't do that to ourselves but expect to do that to our loved ones. For a loved one, it is enough to keep the truth that comes from a relationship. The most basic thing is respect for the other person. If you try to judge and restrain that person at your disposal, you are already far from being true. Abandoning my judgment is also breaking your thoughts. It is also breaking your thoughts when you give up on yourself. Thank you.